Today I'm going to talk about hip extension and glute strength and why it's so important for pole dancers. First of all, what do I mean by hip extension? Well, most of us actually spend all of our day with our hips in a flexed position. So we're sat at a desk or driving, so we're in like a half flexed position. This will be fully flexed. So hip extension is basically the opposite of that. And we do loads of hip extension in pole. For example, butterfly, when you take that leg off the pole, you're putting the top leg into hip extension. When you do any split type moves on the pole, like a jade, leg extending away, you're going into extension with that leg. Any moves where you're grabbing hold of the foot and pushing your hips forwards, like ballerina, allegra, that horrendous yogini thing, all of those involve hip extension. And also any bridge moves that you do, like a layback bridge or anything that involves a back bend really, will put your hips into extension. The problem is, like I said, we tend to spend most of our day with our hips in flex position. So we spend, 7 or 8 hours at work like this, and then go to pole class in the evening for an hour, and we're like, come on, I want to do all the pretty moves, and trying to put our hip into extension. And the problem is that because we spend so much time in this position, these muscles get really, really tight, so it's hard to extend and get that flexibility here. And then conversely, these muscles, the glute muscles, the muscles that are responsible for putting the hip into extension, they get really lazy and they get weak and they get lengthened. So to counteract that, I include lots of glute strengthening exercises as well as stretches for the hip flexors to restore that balance and try to get some strength here. And if you've got really nice strong glutes and really flexible hip flexors, then those moves, all of those moves, the lines are going to look so much better, and you're going to take a lot of pressure from your lower back and help to prevent injury. So this drill is one of my favorite mobility drills, glute activation drills, which you can include in your warm-up for pole or for the gym, and it just helps to get that glute muscle fired up again. Because it gets a bit lazy, sometimes we forget how to activate it and isolate it. So this exercise really isolates the glute muscle. So if you lie down, you need a ball for this. You can use a tennis ball or a mobility ball, or this is a dog ball from the pound shop. I'm a big spender like that. So get your feet up, knees at 90 degrees, then put the feet flat on the floor. You're going to place the ball like about ribs, just on your ribs there. Bring that knee in, and you're just going to hold gently. You're not squeezing it in, it's just to hold the ball in place. The reason that you're doing that is so that you're putting the spine in a slightly flexed position, and that means when you lift, you can't cheat and use the lower back. So all of the work is coming from the glute muscle. If you feel this a lot in the hamstrings, it means that your hamstrings are taking over, and you really need to re-establish that mind-body connection with the glute muscle so that you can isolate it and turn it on. I'll show you from the other side. So squeeze, and you should really feel it in this glute of the leg that's pushing from the floor. Yeah, so if you really feel the hamstrings burning, just don't come quite as high. You really want to feel it in your butt. It should be, all of the tension should be in your butt. So that is my favourite of many, many different options you can do for improving hip extension and glute strength. There's loads out there. That's just one of my favourite ones. I hope you found that useful. If you want to know more about how I might program that into my warm-up or any more details on it, then check out the blog below. I'll put a link in the comments. And yeah, just give me a shout if you've got any questions.